Hello everyone. In today's session, we'll see macros in C. And to illustrate the concepts, I'll be sharing a screen of the online editor where I'll be illustrating using certain code snippets. Okay. So whenever we tell macros, so let me use a block command to write a bit of theory on macros, on different kinds of macros. So when I tell about macros in C, there are different categories of macros in C. So if I have to tell about the first category, which can be told as a file inclusion macro. So what do you mean by a file inclusion macro? So these macros are actually used for including a particular file in our particular program. So I'll give an example of how to use this particular macro. So within double quotes, we need to write the name of a file which has to be included. So the components of this particular file.c will be included in my program if I use this particular macro in my program. And it is usually kept in the header section so that before starting the execution of this particular program, the compiler actually pre-processes this particular macro and includes this file components in my particular program. So you can also see there is a header file already defined. So that's been also defined using the preprocessor directives itself. So how do you identify in C it's a preprocessor directives? So we have a token which indicates that that particular line is actually a preprocessor directive. So that token is called as hash. So all the preprocessor directives are actually being started with a token which is hash. So hash indicates that it's a preprocessor directive in C. So the second type of macro is compiler directive macro. So it's a compiler directive macro, and most of us have used this particular macro in one or the other place, that is hash define. To define a symbolic constant or to define functions, we can use this particular macro. So this is similar to defining a constant in the name of pi. So wherever I have pi in my particular program, this particular value gets replaced. But what's the difference between constant variable and then symbolic constants defined using macro is anywhere in my program, if I don't want, I can undefine this particular component and redefine its value. So we'll see those procedures also in this particular code, which I'll be illustrating. The third category is control directives. So there are various control directives which are actually provided in C using the help of these macros. So some of them are, we have hash if, which works similar to our if construct. We have hash else, which is similar to our else construct. And we have hash elif, which is similar to our cascaded, that is nested, which is having else if ladder. So that's similar to your else if ladder. So elif is nothing but similar to your else if, where you can actually construct multiple conditions. And we also have a construct called as end if to end the if constructs. If control directives can be ended using end if. And then we have some special constructs like if def, which says that if defined to check whether a particular macro is defined. We also have hash if endef, which tells if a particular macro is not defined, if not defined. And in order to undefine a particular macro, I can also use hash undef. So these are certain examples of control directives, which actually control the flow of your execution in the particular program with the help of these preprocessor directives. And all are the preprocessor directives. And as I said, how do we identify it's a preprocessor directives? Because of the token hash. Everyone begins with a token hash. So consider a simple program. For example, I'll be going for defining a macro hash define a whose value is 7. So what I've done here is I have defined a macro which has a symbolic constant, that is for a we have given the value 7. So wherever I want, I can actually go for printing it directly. As it's an integer, I'll be printing percentage d and then a. And before printing that, let me write macro and then a, what is its value. So I'll run this particular code. Okay, there is a spelling mistake in printf, so we'll correct it. Excuse me for the typo error. Okay, it's fine. So you can see here, there is a macro A, which is having value 7. As I said, it's similar to your constants in C. What do you mean by constants? Its value cannot be changed actually. Its value cannot be changed. So we'll see how do we actually do it. Fine. So if you see here, if I go for changing it to 9, and if I run this particular code, it throws me an error. It throws me a error. Why? Because I'm trying to edit a particular macro. I'm trying to edit a particular macro, but not like your normal variables, which you actually can change the values. For example, if I had a variable called int x, anytime I can actually change the value of this particular x. So in my program, if I want, I can change the value of x to 8. So I'll comment this particular line so that I can show you that editing. So if I run this particular code, it doesn't throw me any error. Where I've gone for editing a variable x. So you can see here I've edited x, it doesn't throw me an error because x is not a constant variable or it's not a macro directive which has been defined. So this is what is the difference between your macros and normal variables. Macros are like constants, symbolic constants which are defined in the form of macro here. Fine. So I don't want this local variable, so I'll be removing that. So we have seen an error also. I'll be quickly writing this so that you will identify. Okay. So now, as I said, we'll illustrate certain of these control directives, whichever we have seen here. So what I'll be writing here is, now I know I have defined a macro called A. So I'll be writing hash if, and I can check the condition. What's the value of that A7? So I can write A greater than 9. So you can see here A is not greater than 9. A is not greater than 9. So I'll be printing printf A greater than 9. So I'll just write this particular printf and I'll be putting a semicolon. So then next I'll be checking elif A less than 0. And then I'll be writing another printf which says A less than 0. So I'm just writing these statements to illustrate your control directives. Hash elif A equal to 1 or equal to 0. I'll be writing a printf which says your A equal to 0. Okay. The last one, I'll go for printing the value of A, or I'll be telling A equal to 7. So I'll be writing hash else printf A equal to 7 \n semicolon. So now if you see here, I've written if, elif, and then else. So it looks similar to your else if ladder. But the difference is I need to be writing at the end hash and if. The compiler control directives have to be ended through this particular line or else it throws an error. So we'll see now what is the output of this particular piece of code which we have written. So you can see here A equal to 7. Macro A7, that is because of this particular first line. So let me go for giving a new line here so that our output is coming in a separate line. Okay, so if you see here, I'm getting macro A equal to 7. That's because my value of A is 7, which I've printed using the first line. And then I have used control directives, macro control directives I've used in order to illustrate if, else if, and else condition, and also end if. So you can see the output A equal to 7. Now I'll just show you the error which is thrown if I don't write this end if. But usually in normal if constructs, we don't write end if. So you can see here it is unterminated else. That means it's telling that the control directives are not terminated. To terminate the control directives, I have to write end if. So without end if, it throws a error. So let me correct this particular error. And if I write an end if, it's a terminator for that control directive, and then it gives me the required output, the desired output. Okay. So let me go for showing you some more constructs which we have actually shown there. One more constructor is I can also go for if defined A. So I'm just checking if my A is defined. Fine. Okay. If my A is defined, so what I'll go is I'll go for printing A. So I'll write printf A is defined. So I'll be writing A is defined. That's it. And then I should be using hash end. So all control directives have to be ended. Fine. So we'll run this particular piece of code. Okay. So if we can see here, A is defined. So we're just checking whether a particular constant or symbol is actually defined using the macro. Okay. So we can also check with the hash not defined. So that is if not defined. So since we have not defined B, it should be throwing me this particular printf. So printf B not defined \n and then hash end. So I'll run this particular code. We have not defined any B, so it should be printing this line B not defined. So you can see here B not defined. Why? Because I've not defined B. So what's the meaning of this? If not defined. And what's the meaning of this? If defined. Okay. So these are various control directives which I've actually shown you in this particular example. Fine. So now we'll see some of the compiler directive macros in the form of functions. So I can also have here, so I'll be commenting this particular whole section, or I'll be writing a dummy printf. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be writing a printf with multiple stars so that it illustrates or differentiates my output sections so that we can understand our next section of the topic which we are showing here. Okay. So let me go for defining a function using the macro. So I can go for define. I can have a function defined here. So what I'll do here is I'll go for a function called show. So I'll go for show. I've written show. It takes a parameter x, and then I can write printf. Since it is a string, so I can a string or integer, whatever it is I want, I can actually print. So what we'll do here is we'll go for printing this particular in the form of a string. So by default, we have a special function here. So what I can do is I can write hash x. So what's the meaning of this particular hash x is it directly converts whatever you have given as a parameter into a string and prints it. So we'll see that. So see here, I'll be using show and I'll be writing hi. I've not included hi in double quotes. I've not included hi in double quotes. So if you see here, I've not included hi in double quotes. So whatever I have passed here as a parameter, that will be taken into x, and the x will be printed as a symbol with the hash. It tells that x has to be taken as a string, printing as a string, printing as a string. So your x will be printed as a string. So we'll run and we'll see whether hi is getting printed. Okay, so you can see here hi is getting printed. So I'll write a dummy new line in between so that our next output comes in a separate line. Okay, next, I can use the same show on integer also. I can write show 9. And let me run this particular code. So you can see here 9 is getting printed. Your 9 is getting printed in the output. Similarly, we'll write another function which can be used for concatenation. So what do you mean by concatenation? Joining two strings. That process is actually called as concatenation. So what I'll write here is I'll write hash define. So name of the function, I'll write it as join, to which I'll be passing two parameters x and y, and I'll be writing printf hash x hash y. So two things I've actually written, printf hash x and then hash y. So see here how it will actually work. So I'll be writing join x, I'll be writing it as hi, and then I'll be writing hello. And I'll run this particular code. You can see the output here. It has come hi, hello. So this is how you can actually go for concatenating two strings. You can actually go for concatenating two strings using this special construct. So this is called as concatenation. Okay, so we'll see some more functions here. For example, I want to define a function for finding square of a particular number. So what I can do here is I'll write square, so square, and a parameter x. So what I should do is square of a number is x into x. Okay. So what I'll define here is, okay, let me have a new line, and then I'll go for printf square of 7. So we'll see what is square of 7. So here I'll be writing square is the name of the function, and I'll be passing 7. Okay. So let me run this particular code. So you can see here my square would have come in the output. So you can see square of 7. Okay, once again. So small spelling. I've done. Okay. SQUARE square, and then square of 7 is x into x. So I should be printing that. So I've missed writing a percentage d here, so it is not printing anything. Fine. Okay. So let me include a percentage d. Now I should be getting the answer. Be careful in these kinds of semantic errors which can happen, which is very difficult to identify as they're not the compiler errors. So you can see here, I've got the answer 49. Square of 7 is 49. So what happened is I've passed 7 as a parameter. So it took 7. So if you see my macro, it took here 7. So it took 7, and then I gave the answer 7 into 7. There is one small logical error possible in this. What is the logical error is? So see here, if I write the same statements, okay, so square of what I'll be writing is 7 only, but here I'll be passing 5 plus 2. So listen carefully what I've done here. Okay, let me write a new line. So printf. So I'll get a difference of 2 lines. Okay. So I'm passing 5 plus 2. So you may think that, okay, what is the difference in passing 5 plus 2 and what is the difference in passing 7? Both are 7 itself. 5 plus 2 is also 7. And this I've directly passed it as 7. But see the difference in the answer. Okay. So if you see the difference in the answer, square of 7, one has given 49, another has given 17. So why is the difference? So what happens is when I write it like this, it directly replaces it as 5 plus 2, that is your x, into 5 plus 2. It did not add and give the value to x. It directly said my x is 5 plus 2. So what is the code we have written here? We have written a code x star x. So x is 5 plus 2. 5 plus 2 star 5 plus 2. So what happens? 5 plus 2. So plus and star operator. So first preference for star. So 5 twos are 10. Then addition. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. So that's why you got the answer as 17. So you have to be very careful in this kind of logical error which can happen with macros. Many of your interview drives and campus drives will have these macro questions. What they actually do is, instead of passing 7, we pass it as 5 plus 2. So we assume that it takes 5 plus 2 and it counts it as 7 and then gives to the macro. No, it doesn't do that. Whatever you have passed it, it directly gives it to x. So, and my code is saying x into x. So you can see here my code is saying x into x. So 5 plus 2 into 5 plus 2. So how will I correct this particular problem? Very simple. Put a parenthesis here. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll put a parenthesis here. So you can see here. So now what happens, whatever x you have passed, 5 plus 2, first it takes 5 plus 2. So what it does is, it does like this. Whatever x you have passed, for example, I'm passing 5 plus 2. So now it does it like this. First it does 5 plus 2 into another parenthesis 5 plus 2. Now the answer will be correct because plus operation is within a parenthesis and we know that it will be given first preference. So what was the problem in our previous function where we wrote hash define square x, we just wrote x into x. So what was happening in this particular line is it was doing 5 plus 2 into 5 plus 2. So this was a problem in our previous line. It was just done like this. So first it did multiplication. So it gave me the answer as, write the answer. It gave me the answer as 17. I'm writing this so that you'll understand when you run this particular piece of code, but this gives me the answer as 49. So I'll comment this particular line and I'll show you how it gives the correct answer now. So now if you see, the answer is correct, 49. Now it has done 5 plus 2. It has kept it in the parenthesis. So first addition will be done and then multiplication will be done. So you're getting the correct answer. So this is how your macros can be used to confuse you also. What macro does is whatever parameter or argument you have passed, it directly sends it to the macro. It doesn't compute it because it's during compile time we are doing pre-processing. So what happens is whatever argument you have passed is directly being assigned to the parameter of this macro. Fine. Okay. So now we'll see another example where we can actually have multiple line functions. So how can we define a very big macro? For example, assume that I want to add numbers, two numbers, and then print the numbers in the same macro function. So how can I do that is I can go for hash define. So sum is my program. So which takes two arguments, integer arguments, x and y. So since it is a function, so I'll be writing a opening parenthesis to indicate that there is another line continuing. I should write a forward slash. Sorry, I should write a backslash or just a slash. And then the next statement. What is the next statement? I will be just writing printf sum of percentage d plus percentage d is equal to percentage d, and then I'll be writing a backslash n. So first percentage d is your x, second percentage d is your y, the third percentage d is x plus y. I'll be putting a semicolon, another backslash, and then I'll be ending. Okay. So this is called multiple line macro. So if you can see here, it is not one line, it is multiple lines. So how do I indicate that it is a multiple line macro? I should be using a backslash. So a backslash is used for indicating that the macro is not completed. The definition of the macro is not completed. It's continued to the next line. But if you see in this line, I have not included a backslash. Why? Because it's an end. Only if you have a continuing line in the next, you should be writing a backslash, or else you should not write a backslash. So now we'll call this particular macro. So we'll call this particular macro in the last section. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll call the macro. So name of the macro was sum, and I'll be passing 7 and 2 to that. Just 7 and 2 is being passed. So I should be getting 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Okay. So if you can see here, 7 plus 2 The answer has come. 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. So this was a quick recall on the topic of macros. So I've covered almost all kinds of macros which you are encountering in C. So we can actually categorize them into file inclusion macros, which we have seen here, hash include stdio.h, where this particular header file is actually included for this particular program. So all the components of that header file are actually brought, pre-processed and kept before this program is actually converted into your object code. And then compiler directive macro, which we usually use for defining symbolic constants, or we can also use it for defining functions, defining a piece of functions, macro functions. Fine. So there are two special macros which we have seen. One is directly making it as a string, converting it as a string and printing. Another is used for concatenation. Apart from this, you can also have your own functions, but you need to be very careful when it is involved in arithmetic operations. For example, if you're not passing directly the value, if you're passing an expression, so you should be very careful how the expression is evaluated. So that's what we have seen in these two examples, where square, one gives a correct answer, another gives a wrong answer. So why it is giving wrong answer, or if someone is throwing you this particular question, you should be able to tell the answer. Blindly, we may tell 49 because we have passed 5 plus 2, which we take that 7 because x is equal to 5 plus 2. So that is nothing but x is 7. So 7 into 7, 49. But that's a mistake which we are actually making. If we have passed x is 5 plus 2, it takes 5 plus 2 into 5 plus 2. So the answer is 17. So if I have to correct it, I should be using a parenthesis. So you know that the expression inside the parenthesis is evaluated first. So 5 plus 2 gives 7, into 7 is 49. Then we have seen multi-line macros. How do you define a multi-line macro? So you need to be using a backslash to indicate there is a next line coming for this particular definition. And be careful, whatever you have in block, though statements have a semicolon. If you see one line macros, no one has a semicolon as an end. Macros don't have a semicolon at the end. But if it is a block section, so statements inside a block will have a semicolon like a normal functions. Fine. But these two lines will never have semicolons. Okay. And then we have seen various control directives using macros. So hash f to check the value of a particular macro which we have defined. Hash elif, it works as your ladder, else if ladder. Only thing is, instead of else if, we are writing elif, and then else and end if. All the control constructs of the macro, compiler control constructs, have to be ended using an end if. You cannot directly leave it. But in normal branching constructs, we don't write end if, we just leave it. But here you need to be ending the particular control directive. So either you are using if def also you need to end, if end def also you need to use end if. And if def is used for checking if a particular symbolic constant is defined using the macro, and end def is used for checking if it is not defined. So these macros can be used for defining. Fine. Okay. So we'll see the last of its kind, where I can go for undefining a macro. So what I'll do here is I'll go for hash undef a. So a is previously defined. So what I did is I went for undefining a. So now if I go for checking hash if, so undefined, so if endef, that says that if it's not defined, so I should be using hash, not percentage. So hash undef if not defined a. So I'll be writing here printf a is not defined, using a backslash n. Okay, so beginning also I'll write a backslash n. I'll put a semicolon. So if you see the statement here, my a is actually defined in the beginning. So you can see your a is actually defined in the beginning. But what I'm doing here is I'm undefining it. So undefining is undefining. So this is called undefining, or you can also call removing. Moving macro definition. So I have undefined it. So now if I write if endef a, it tells a is not defined. So we'll run this and we'll see whether this line is actually printed. Okay, I have not used endef. So I should be writing end if. Okay. So if you can see here, A is not defined because we undefined A previously. Most of you have a confusion whether macros have to be defined in the global section only. No, that's not the case. For example, consider there is a simple function which I'm writing void function 1, and inside that function what I'll be writing here is I'll be defining a macro. So I'll be writing hash define. So the name of the macro is C and its value is 91. Okay. And then I'll go for printing that macro inside once. Macro C, it's an integer. So percentage D backslash N, I'll be writing C. That's a macro being defined. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll call the function. So the name of the function is function 1. Yes. So I'll run this particular function. So it should be telling macro C and its value it should be printing. So if you can see here, macro C and the value is getting printed. And now what I'll do here is in the main also, I'll print the macro, the same macro. I'll just write one statement saying that in main, so I'll be writing in main macro C. It's a percentage D because it's an integer backslash N. Okay. So if you can see here, macro C is not defined in main or it is not defined globally. It's defined inside a function called function 1. But still, I'm trying to access C from main. Clear, right? Okay. So if the macros were local, it should throw me an error. But since macros are global, wherever you define, the macro becomes global. So now if I run, my value of C is actually printed. You can see here the value of C in main is also getting printed. That defines that the macros are not local. Wherever you define, it takes a global scope. So this is what is an advantage of macros compared to your constants, which actually cannot be changed throughout the program. But macros, what happens is you can use undefined and then you can actually redefine it. For example, if you see here, I have undefined A, and later if I want, I can actually redefine. How would I redefine? I can actually write here hash define A. What's the value? For example, 72. And then I can write hash if defined A. I can print its value. So printf A is defined. Percentage D is a value of it, integer. I'll be writing A. And then I should be writing end if because it's an if control directive. Okay. So what I did is first I have undefined A in this section. And then again, I go for redefining A. Okay. So we'll see the answer for this. Then I have called the functions. So we need to be able to trace this output also. Okay. So if you can see here, first A is not defined. Why A is not defined? Because we undefined it and we wrote. So because of these 3 lines, it's telling A is not defined here. Okay. Next, coming to this particular line, I defined A and then I'm printing if defined A, print the value of A. So, and because of that, you're getting A is defined and it is 72. And because of these 2 lines, function 1 and printf in main, I'm getting the last 2 lines. Macro C is 91 and in main also the macro C is 91 because macros are global wherever you define. Whether you define it inside a function also, macro takes a global scope. So this was a quick and short video on macros. Very simple concept and see, but yet powerful concept. So most of the things which we had written in multiple lines can be reduced to single lines, especially string concatenation problems, printing a string problem, converting an integer to a string and printing. So all those jobs can be directly done using macros. Any queries, I'll be sharing my email for queries and suggestions. You can write down to my email. Okay, so any queries or suggestions, feel free to get in touch with me. for queries and suggestions, you just have to write to this particular email, or you can also comment in the comment section of the video on any queries, or if I have to send a piece of code, or if you want this particular code snippet to be transferred you over the mail, you can just drop your email ID. I can send the programs whichever I've executed. Or else it's better when I actually explain you in this video, you simultaneously type the codes, execute and see, reduce the speed of the video so that you can slowly see it, and pause it and run it once again. So if you have to actually illustrate in your systems and check whether these concepts are working. And the best way to learn, as I've been telling in all my previous videos, is executing the programs and tracing, understanding the output. And mainly, if you have to learn a programming language, you should be capable enough to understand the output also. Any error is coming, a couple of minutes you should be able to solve that particular error. That's your strength in a programming language. So as the time taken to resolve an error reduces, that proves that you're a good programmer. You're understanding your program, you're trying to rectify, you're correcting your program faster. So always you should try to reduce the time taken to resolve the errors and complete the task. Thank you, and see you in the next tutorial. Hope this short video on macros was quite interesting and simple to get you going on this particular topic. Thank you, and then see you in the next tutorial.